And for who doesn't know, it's not vegan leather. It's tanned with vegetable ingredients like bark or leaves.
Welcome to episode 8 of Leathertainment podcast on the go. Today we have a very special guest, a fourth generation leather crafter, Noor from Amsterdam, and we're going to talk about the longevity and durability of leather. Before we get into the subject, I will really love you guys to hear the beautiful story of a fourth generation leather crafting family in Amsterdam. Noor, why don't you start with that beautiful story?
My family started in Amsterdam in 1800 with the first shop in Amsterdam. And after that, there came like 6 or 7 shops through the centuries. And I'm the last one now. I'm still taking over the heritage and honoring what my ancestors did.
That's amazing. It's not only the material is durable, but the persistence of the occupation and the passion for craft keeps going on generation. It's
Yes.
lovely.
So how can I imagine this? Did your family teach you how to make bags? Did you learn with them, or did you do
No.
it somewhere else?
Yeah, well, it's not that's yeah. I learned it actually. It's pretty funny because I went to the art academy, and there at one point I came in contact with the material leather, and it was just like love at first sight. And then my father told me, well, we come from a whole family, and so it went like this in the family. And I knew I wanted to work with leather, and. There my journey started, and I went to go to my uncle that was still repairing luxury leather goods in Amsterdam, and there I learned the first things of the craft because it's completely different than fashion making clothes where I come from. That's how I learned more and more, and I'm still learning because you learn every time new things in this work.
Absolutely. And great that you mentioned your uncle repairing luxury leather goods. It's one of the most beautiful aspects of leather. Now, these are things made to last. They are not only products, they also carry emotions and memories. That's why people want to repair them and keep carrying. Um, I'm sure you have beautiful stories that your customers bring to you. I'm going to ask about that. And we have a collection of goods from even 1918s and 20s in front of us that are intact shape still. Beautiful. I would just pick one and start using right away. And you can't do this with any new materials that we are trying to replace leather with today. So I think that alone itself speaks so much about how leather is one of the solutions of slowing down and being more conscious about our consumerism that most of us know that it's not going well. Perhaps it will be great if you have any stories of this leather goods trying to be survived with the memories and with sentiments they have from your customers. If you have anything you can share.
Yes, I have. Well, actually, at the moment, I'm working at one of these projects. A customer came to me with a leather bag that he got from his aunt. She had used it before. So I think the bag is now like 60 years old. And it's a fetch tan leather bag. And there are some points that I have to reconstruct or make. But because the whole sentiment and the love in it, that you know who has used it, that's why I really want to repair and reconstruct it. And that's something that you can do only with leather, not with the other materials. That's also why I proposed to him, instead of making a complete new bag of it, because that's what I can do as well, to first repair it, and that he has all the memories of it. And actually his aunt as well, because I made some videos of the start, and he said, can I send it to my aunt? Because, it's like a whole history.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you ever try other materials in your work?
No.
Okay.
I tried different types of leather in the way of the tanning process, so chrome leather or fetch tan leather, and also different kind of qualities, because I didn't know nothing about it. So I was actually just going to see how it looked and not what was it. I mean, the quality. And there I also, just by doing and learning, I found out that some of the leathers are less durable in a way of, when we're talking about split leather, that's like another layer than the top layer of the animal. And as your own skin, your top layer has to protect you. So that's also in the top grain leather, the full grain leather, and the split leather is underneath, and there's no protection layer. So the tanneries, they make the layer, and mostly it's plastic. And especially when you use the technique splitting, sorry, not splitting, but the skiving, so to make the edges thinner, so you get nicer bags, it cracks when you put some strength to it. So this is what you, if you don't know anything about it, then you will find out when you're making it, or when you buy a leather bag that's pretty cheap. If you know a bit about leather, then it can also break on these parts, because at the end the plastic on the outside is trying to keep it together.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. We can give the audience a quick tip when they're shopping for leather goods. You read the material. Everybody has to declare what it is, and
Yeah.
some people only do the legal requirement.
Like real leather.
Yeah, real leather, genuine leather is the most
Exactly.
tricky one.
Yeah.
And it's mostly used for this split leathers.
Yeah.
They call it genuine leather because they can legally.
Yeah.
But it's the cheapest thing you can call genuine leather. It doesn't mean it's the highest quality thing. It's the one that you need to pay attention what you're getting. I would look for full grain, top grain,
Absolutely.
vegetable tan leathers. These aniline leathers, these are usually signifiers of a higher quality leather that will actually be durable and longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah, split leather is very often used for belts in the meanwhile, which I find a little bit disappointing, because you buy a belt, even from a good brand, and you expect that it lasts long, and then it starts to crack. What you experienced in your sewing experience, that
yeah.
it starts to cracking quite easily when
Yeah.
you go into the thinning of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I also teach. So, then I also have my students, and then they also, as they start, they also just look at the outside, and then they come. And especially split leather, of course, there are different qualities as well in this, but sometimes you really can see that it has this kind of more plastic, that kind of appearance, exactly. So then I try to give them these tools that use it, try it, put your finger on it if you can see the grain or not, or that it just becomes very flat, and otherwise do the splitting test.
Yeah.
Because when they split it and I can crack it, then they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, well, this cannot happen when you have full grain leather. So I'm really trying to keep them as well, to get them the knowledge.
So who are the people that you are teaching?
It's at a college here in Amsterdam, and it's a technical college for leather bag makers, shoe makers, and millinery. So, and I'm there, the leather bag teacher.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And I know even the regular public is interested in, sometimes as a hobby, to craft with leather, or just to become a better shopper when they're looking at something they want to understand more.
Yeah.
In your experience, when they touch this either alternative plastic materials and leather, can they start to realize they can actually feel the difference or smell the difference, or it's really difficult for a person who's outsider?
I think sometimes it's really difficult, because also there, if you look to the more cheaper shops, there's almost only split leather, because otherwise it's not possible to sell it for that price. So a lot of people are already getting used to that the leather should have no defects, that it has to be completely flat, and otherwise there's something wrong with the leather. So then it's very difficult sometimes to get them to the other side and to see, well, it is actually an animal and it's not just a plastic layer that's put over. So yeah, I see with my students that they are getting more and more, they get more and more knowledge, and then they see it and they're also going to tell about it.
Right.
So they're spreading the word as well. But I think sometimes in fast fashion, it's pretty difficult to,
You're touching a
get
point that I would really like to go back to, because
yeah,
that is what I feel is in our industry where we can change something. For the moment, particularly on shoes and handbags, they are spotless. There is no natural marking of
Exactly.
animals,
Yeah.
but animals are living beings, and they
Yeah.
have different grain structure, height structures. They have scratches from trees, barks, whatever,
Yeah.
where they were scratching. We were yesterday at this farm, and there were a bunch of tree branches, and they were just shoving themselves in this because they really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Like a massage on them, and
Yeah.
the one or the other might leave scratches.
Yeah.
So, how is it for you as a bag designer? Are you able to offer bags which are, I would call it like a no waste approach in the usage of leather, or are your customers as well looking for this spotless, this sleek, no defect leather bags? Are you offering both to educate as well the consumer? Or are you as well still in this part? And it's not a blame; it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like curious asking in this. Yeah, I know that my customers, they want it spotless.
I think it's a bit in between. I'm using pretty natural leather, only fetch then at the moment, and there is, you see the liveness in it. So in that way, but when it's completely scratched or things, yeah, that's something that my customers don't, because then they have the feeling it's already damaged because they buy before they buy it. But there's also a difference where your leather is coming from. I mean, the animal, because if it comes from Brazil or from India, there they still use the brand, the burning,
Yeah,
how do you
fire
call it?
Brand size.
Yeah, or the climate is different, so there are other insects, and they're like here in the in Europe we have restrictions for how the animals should live. So that's also a difference, and that's also where the price is going. So that's again also something that I teach my students. Like, okay, you can buy this leather, and maybe you pay not as much per square feet, but will you use everything? And if not, then you still have to calculate it into your bag. So what is better, if you can use the whole height and have some defects, or that you have so much more in it, but then yeah.
Will
So
we be able to educate the end consumer to embrace nature?
That's a tough
Yeah.
place to be. I am looking into a lot of bags in luxury space, right? I think this perception leather should be perfect coming from the luxury brands today, which they have the luxury to cut the perfect parts of the leather and discard the rest. We all know, top of the line brands do that. They get
Yeah.
a full hide and they only use 30-40%, the creme de la creme part, and then the rest just liquidate, sell it by kilo or whatever. And then their customers who pays the top dollar expect that perfection. I understand this is the business model that works, and it's the only one that works for them. But as a small brand, and I'm feeling super bad if I'm throwing more than half of my hide when I'm making something. I like to place them strategically, just like you say. It's a balance in between.
Yeah.
There is imperfections in leather, especially the ones we artisans like to use, not the brands. We don't want standardized leathers. So I'm trying to get the less perfect part in the back of the bag or the bottom of the bag, or maybe in the inner
On the
lining.
inside.
In the perfect part goes to the front cover, the flap, or wherever they're gonna see
Yeah.
the most, and customers are okay with it. Sometimes they get back to me with the questions like, there's a little bit thing in the bag. It's like, yes, that's part of the leather, and that's why we put it in the bag, not to be wasteful, and they understand it. They expect it. I think they will be open to this with some open and transparent communication over time, but it's gonna take a while in my
Because I think it's an important point that we can touch as leather makers, as well leather crafters.
Yeah.
If the customer will accept more nature, we as well increase the cutting efficiency, and with this we will see
Absolutely.
less waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
also be
Yeah.
more affordable, more accessible, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it goes to the cost again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite types of leather? You mentioned wedge tan. Maybe we open it up a little bit more because I know there's a confusion there. Wedge tan, vegan,
Yeah.
vegetarian. Like let's unpack that part.
Yeah.
Because I kind of sense that you like that type of leather. And we
Yeah,
can
I
talk
do.
about-
I do. Well, as you also asked before, if what I use, what kind of materials I used, I started actually with this same fetched and leather, and then I went to chrome leather, and but then I actually came back to this because this, the whole characteristic of fetched and leather, and for who doesn't know, it's not vegan leather. It's tanned with vegetable ingredients like bark or leaves. So it's one of the most, how do you say?
Versatile, or
Oldest
No,
environmental.
yeah, the most environmental friendly way of tanning at the moment. So that's also important for me. But most of it gives, without putting too much reinforcement in it, it gives structure. And also in that way, I like to see if I can work as much with the material without putting all reinforcement to get to my designs. And in that way, fetched and leather works best for me.
The properties of it, the stiffness.
Yeah.
You utilize the temper of the leather as your structure base.
Yeah.
Instead of putting other
Yeah.
support materials.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and another thing that I really love about fetched and leather is that it ages beautifully.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah. So that's really one of the parts that you see the use of, yeah, the person who uses it, it goes in. It's the same like a shoe, when you fit it and it gets to your feet. Well, that's the same with fetched and leather. So it really becomes to the personality of the person that uses it, and that's character.
Exactly. That's the character.
Yeah.
And in leather industry, we have that word patina.
Yeah.
Which is a question, and many people say, "What is patina?" It's the film layer develops on top of usually that artisanal, minimally finished leathers, wedge tan, that gives a little bit darker and shinier
Yeah.
tones and that character
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
we know that you as well develop leather with a tannery here in the Netherlands, Rompa,
Yeah.
which is mineral based.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell a little bit about this new development
Yeah.
that you're looking into and why you're looking into
Yeah.
this?
Well, the first or the main
Reason?
thank you. The main reason why I'm doing this research and development with Rompa is because it's another durable way of tanning. So besides of fetched tan leather, and I have chosen 5 years ago that I want to work as durable as possible in materials, but also in the way that it can be repaired, my leather bags, and but of course it starts with the material, and the zeology leather that is a leather that can be completely compostable. So this is something as a designer that I find very interesting, to actually get the whole circle round. So it comes from a waste product of the animal, of the meat industry, and then we make something beautiful from it. And when it's really, after repairing a couple of times, and it's really not usable anymore, you can put it back into the ground and it can be compostable again to the earth. So this whole, this is really appealing to me. So that's why I want to work with them and see if we can develop a very beautiful, natural leather, and tell the story.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful concept to complete the circle of life with leather. I think we still have that last step, and zoology is a great potential alternative to replace this thing. To me, it's more in the tanning side because of the wastewater going out of the production can be even if it's not treated. And we know that's happening in underdeveloped countries because there's no regulation. Some tanneries do the easy route and dump it.
Yeah.
I rather have zoology in that water than chrome. So I think great things are in the works. So for the good of the earth and for the leather industry, it's very exciting times. I think I want to go to one aspect. A lot of people have questions, which I don't have much answers. Maybe you can help with some people on the maintenance of leather, which goes hand in hand with durability. Like if you want to use something 60 years, you kind of need to take care of it and know how to take care of it. What can you say, given your expertise in vegetable tan leathers, for example? What can people do to maintain their leather goods?
Well, for example, for my products, I use a natural leather cream, and for people to use it like it depends on how you use, of course, your leather bags, but to use it like every 2 months, and to actually the same that you put on your cream every morning. So you also take care of your leather bag, so it gets like moisturized in a way. And it's different, of course, with each leather, how it has been finished and how it will absorb the material. But I think that's one of the things that can really give a longevity to the.
Is that part of your teaching? Because I can imagine that this is a crucial part, actually, that where we all learn how to take good care of leather items that we buy so that they last that long, as the intention is by you as a maker, that they last as long and you get them back 60 years later to repair them, ideally.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And I also have my leather cream, so I give it to you can buy it, so then you can keep it, and also in that way I really find it important that it's natural and that it's not all with kind of chemicals in it that you spray on it, or so by rubbing it in, you're also in touch with your bag, actually. So it's
Not be afraid of leather, probably, as well. Huh? That it's really something nice to touch and be in contact with and take care of it.
Yeah.
Well, it was a beautiful conversation on the longevity and durability of leather. I think having a nice closure to this part, this season of this podcast, which we're testing, to address some common misconceptions. That's how we started with, animals are killed for leather and don't use leather message. And now we touched upon so many different things so far that you may not heard of. Tells the beautiful story of leather. We have heard stories of 60-year-old leather bags coming back to life
as well.
Shoes, so many like surprising facts. I hope to some of you, reminding the beautiful story of leather being a beautiful alternative, earthy choice to many other getting popular materials that are not so sustainable today. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, I believe, because we can talk about leather for probably ages. But this is a great way to leave it on to you, hoping that it will make some awareness to make your own choices depending on your values. But we're open to hear your feedback. What did you get out of this podcast, these discussions? And do you have any other questions? We're more than happy to do this in different locations, different experts, different brands, to help you understand leather better and make better choices. Again, thank you, Florian. Thank you, Noor, for being here and sharing your expertise.
Yes.
It was so much fun doing this first season with you all. I'm looking forward to continuing it.
Thank you, Volkan.
Thank you.